Welcome back, guys. It's Maverick here with another episode of Code Geass. So, last episode, we thought that Lelouch would be spending some time, or actually I thought that Lelouch would be spending some time doing some introspective stuff and whatnot, and which, to be fair, he is doing, but at the same time, he is still right out and about and doing Black Knight things. With all that being said, though, he is now in a bit of a pickle since he's currently injured, unconscious, and with Shirley about to put a bullet for his head, or discover his true identity, both of which would be very bad for him. So, how exactly is he going to get out of this situation? Is it going to be C2? Is it going to be Callan? Or is Lelouch going to save himself? In any case, let's get into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh yeah, cause and effect. I mean, this is definitely taking a much more, positive approach to what Lelouch is doing. But I don't know, right? That could entirely be possible. But I don't know, maybe because I'm a little bit more, how can I say it, critical of these kind of things, or pessimistic, or more realistic in a sense. I do keep on wondering, like, how much of what Lelouch is doing is... I'm sure he has that ultimate goal of creating, a world of peace and prosperity for Nunnally, right? But how much of it is also motivated by revenge as well, by hatred? I don't know. Don't know. I mean, I certainly don't feel like he's trying to do it to gain power himself or, any of that crap. But hey, hate is a powerful thing. Who is Jin? The Flo I know. Flo's actually quite famous. Maybe Jin is as well, but... Oh, I shouldn't read the titles, subtitles. I mean the episode titles. Oof. Suddenly really getting into the mecha art. Ah, it is C2. So it was C2. What? Who was... But who was shot then? What? Who else would be there? They probably will get to meet her. Hmm?
シャーリーもまだ顔を出せないみたいだけど。
Hmm.
授業も休みがちだし、もうちょっとちゃんと学生やりなよ。この優等生め。ナナリーに伝えてくれないか。今日は遅くなるって。今日はじゃなくて、今日もだろ。こんなに会えないんじゃ。何のために同じ学校なんだか。うん、どうした？いや、なんでも。こら、あず、何遊んでいるんだ、あいつ。その様子だと。ああ、スザクは知らないようだ。これで軍に見られたという線は消えたな。軍と黒の騎士団以外にあんなところに来る奴がいるとは思えないが。日本解放戦線の生き残り。
He doesn't suspect that it's Shirley.
扇にはブラックマーケットを探らせている。血液は採取はしたが時間がかかる。それとあの戦場でシャーリーを見た気がする。
Yeah, before.
だとすると私たちが当面探るべきは。
Yeah, if you do remember that you saw her, then
頭を叩くのは戦の常道だ。クロビス殿下のこともあります。ゼロはブリタニアという体制よりもブリタニア皇族に対する恨みで動いている可能性。
good deductions.
民衆のために人質を買って出たか。相変わらずだな。気をつけろよ、ユフィ。もうホテルジャックのようなことはごめん。騎士を持たれてはいかがでしょう。英語訳をユーフェミア。
So that's gonna be Suzaku.
親衛隊を構築できます。ユーフェミア様は副総督ですから、すでにその権限をお持ちかと。最初は根が優しいからなんだろうと思っていました。しかし人命に対する反応が過敏すぎると思いませんか。でもね、実行データには問題ないわけだし、ついでにあれを試してみようかな。
Did that guy just eat steak with Skittles put on it?
あのさ、君こそ彼を誰かと被せてみていい？
I mean, the human factor is certainly still important, dude. Oh.
お前がやった方が早いもの。あの女だって好きな男になら。
C2 is just yeah.
日記も14日までしか書いていないし。14日。ああ。彼女の父親が亡くなった日だ。これはお前の写真だな。俺の？いじらしいじゃないか。容疑者にしては。よせ。そんな言い方。
Going back to Naruto once again. Who did she shoot, though?
どうしてこんなこと。さあ、どうしてだろう。
Huh? What, can you read minds her?
次は白兜もまとめて倒すから。気にするなって。そうそう、玉木なんかすぐやられちゃって。解放戦線の船。どうして爆発したのかな。自爆だろ。連絡はしたんだよな。助けるからって。そのためにゼロが動いたんじゃないか。あ、そっか。顔を見るチャンスだった。まさかゼロを疑ってるんじゃ。
もしあれがゼロの仕業だとしたらどうするつもりです？
何その言い方。
おい、ディートハルト。この前は怖くて逃げ出したらしいな。チキンなブリキ野郎が。俺たち幹部に向かってタメ口聞いてんじゃねえ。
戦況の把握に努めただけです。扇さんも認めてくれましたが。
ああ、ゼロも構わないって。
好きなのかシャーリー。
See, dude, what does that get at?
ではなぜ成田に行く？
正体が知られた可能性があるから決まっているだろう。
知られていたらどうする？始末するのか？本当に失いたくないものは遠ざけておくものだ。
それは経験か。
いや、生き方。
I know this is kind of important here, but
どうしてルルのことも。
騙していたんだろう。本当はゼロなのに。
誰なのあなた。
彼は君のお父さんを殺す命令を出したその口で君の唇を奪っ
I guess this guy can read minds.
ないよね、そんなの。罰を受けなくてはいけない。彼も君も
私。
全部知ってるよ。あの夜のことはね。
Okay, so Shirley did see.
そいつがゼロか。
Oh, so it was this girl.
これは驚きだな。学生自身がゼロだったとは。しかもブリタニア人。こいつをコーネリア総督に差し出せば私は貴族になれる。騎士公なんかじゃない、本物の貴族にだ。それにまだ生きている。いいぞ。
You know, the funny thing is, if she actually did present him to Cornelia.
お前の男だったな。
No. She's dead? No, there's no way she's dead.
その上父親の死と引き換えに対価まで得て。
違う。私は。
ずるい女。彼に優しさを期待してわざと哀れに振る舞った。同情の視線は心地よかったかい？
やめて。
いつまで悲劇のヒロインでいるつもり？
そんなこと思ってない。
人を殺して男を漁る君はヒロインなんかじゃない。醜悪な魔女だよ。
私は。
ルルーシュを好きな女が他にもいるのを知ってて彼のそばに居続けた。君は報いを受けるべきだ。
See, I don't know. I want to say that he's being really a jerk, but, you know, if he can actually read minds.
君もルルーシュもあまりにかわいそうだよ。
Ah, yes as well. Holy shit. Ah, that's why this episode is titled Geass versus Geass.
手分けして探すしかない。
わかるのかシャーリーか。
何を今さら。
可能性は低い。いるはずがないんだ。
知られていたらどうする？始末するのか？
いや待て。
No, seriously, is that a disguise for C2?
そいつとシャーリーは。落ち着け。もう一度初めから。
Mm-hmm.
シャーリー？俺だ。今どこにいる？さあ、どこかな？誰だお前は？貴様、シャーリーに何を？ああ、いいね。怖いな。自分の女を奪われて許せないって。シャーリーはどこだ？知りたい？じゃあ勝負しようよ。得意なんだってね、君。
Huh? Seriously? What is with this dude?
写真は絵画なら待わせたい。
書き終わるまで待てっての。勘弁してよ。軍や警察に頼んだ方が早いって。
つまらないピンチを招く。わかった。もういい。なんだルルーシュのやつ。
Oh, she recognizes him, of course. Mao. Okay. It can't be a coincidence that his name is similar to Demon Lord, right?
僕初めてやるんだよね、このゲーム。携帯にかけてきたのは演出。いや、俺の顔知らないからだ。つまり、俺の写真を手に入れる時間がなかったということ。周到に準備された作戦ではない。だとすれば、スケール隙はある？もうちょっと勝負にしよう。
Yeah, he can read minds.
何が初めてだ、嘘つきめ。
Oh, this. She just completely jacked the mic. What is that? I don't think that's an. I need to go back and check. That seemed like a really weird chess position.
聞いてないの ?C2 に。さすがだね。僕の正体について一瞬で14の可能性を考えつくなんて。しかもそのうちの一つは大正解。ギアス能力者。おっと、君のギアスは相手の目を直接見なければ使えない。そういうルールも全部わかっちゃうんだよね。思考を読んだ。そういうギアス。
Yeah, so what he said about Shirley was true.
さてと、罰ゲームを始めようか。ゼロ。昨日の君はらしくなかった。どうしてそんな気がするんだろう。
Oh, there she is.
大丈夫ですか？しっかりして。おい、君。生きてる。
そうか。お前がゼロ。
There's like all these.
ゼロのルルの銃で。
使いなよ、ギアス。まだ彼女にはかけたことないはずだろう。もっともそんなことをしたらすぐに撃っちゃうけどね。読めるのは表層だけか。俺みたいにギアスを使う条件はあるのか。タイムラグは、持続時間は。そもそも目的は何だ。俺を殺すつもりなら。ほら、考えなよ。くるくるくるくるって。黙れ。泥棒猫にはこういう死に方がふさわしい。
ルル、死んで。罪を償おう。私も一緒に死んであげるから。
何？彼女も撃っちゃったんだよ。もう一人の目撃者を、君の秘密を守るためにね。じゃあ、あの結婚は。
終わりにしよう、ルル。
Yeah, the only one who can stop this is C2 now.
シャーリーよ。思考が読めれば、人を操り、誘導するのはたやすい。その通り。騙されるな、シャーリー。あいつは。おいおい、君の方だろ。彼女を騙していたのは。やめて。人殺しが罪だと言うなら、罪を重ねるな。うまい。ものは言いようだ。本当に殺したのか。あいつにそう誘導されただけじゃないのか。彼女は自分で気づいたのさ。隠し続けることに意味なんかないって。そんなことはない。シャーリー。もう黙って。何をためらってる。そいつは君の父親を殺したんだぞ。殺せ。そいつはただの人殺しだ。
But I love him.
なんだよこの女。考えがぐちゃぐちゃだ。
Okay, and this is where C2.
わかった。わかってるから。あとは二人でご自由に。
And you're just leaving? Dude.
なんだよ、ドラマチックにしてあげたのに。つまんないけど二人まとめて。誰だ。僕が気づかなかった。
Yep, C2 to the rescue. That's her voice, isn't it? No, seriously, why is she in that outfit? Oh my god. This episode.
もういいんだ。もう。
私人を撃っちゃったの。
俺のせいだ。シャーリーは悪くない。
ルルのことも撃った。
俺は生きてる。
でもルルを撃ったの。
俺が許す。君の罪は全部俺が。
優しくされようとした。
何がいけない。
お父さんが死んだのに。
忘れるんだ。嫌なことは全て忘れてしまえばいい。
Is he actually going to? Yeah, he's gonna use Geass on her. Did he make her forget her feelings for him as well? That is way too far, Lelouch. What? What? But no, how is that going to work? You know, like, I'm definitely shocked that Lelouch went that far, but more than that, I'm just thinking, like, how is this going to work? It's not like these two are completely isolated with no common acquaintances. Is Lelouch just going to... What? That doesn't make sense! Alright, I'll see you guys after this. Well, holy shit, guys. Who the hell suddenly started up the rocket engines and we are blasting through the plot right now. You know, you almost can't keep up. There's so much stuff going on. Obviously, you know, we got some major development in terms of major new characters and like Shirley and all that. But you know, even strewn within all that, we got plenty of hidden storylines that are just bound to happen sooner or later, right? Like, for instance, the most important thing that we only had one scene of, but which is going to have major implications going forward, would be the scene between Ogi and him rescuing Valletta, right? Valletta, who now actually knows who Zero actually is, who Lelouch actually is, and then we also got Ogi, who is, you know, he's really, what should I say? He's already having his doubts about the entire situation, right? So how exactly is that going to go forward? Like, are either of them going to reveal their identities to each other? It's hard to say about that, right? I mean, Ogi is certainly, he's certainly not going to go around and say he's one of the Black Knights, and then Valletta, is she actually going to say anything to a commoner, to a Japanese as well? It's hard to say, right? So, you know, that already is a really ironic and really interesting development right there. And then we also have, you know, moving forward, seemingly innocuous, but I'm sure it's also kind of important, is the, you know, the entire thing with Zuko and Princess Yuffie, and the fact that Princess Yuffie needs a knight around her so that they can build a security detail, and also the fact that the rest of the student council members want to meet Princess Yuffie and all that. You know, you're just bound to know that this is going to have major implications going forward as as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't put so much emphasis on it, right? So we have that part, and then obviously the big thing in this episode, the appearance of Mao. By the way, during the middle of the episode, I was saying like Mao, hey, his name is Demon Lord. That was obviously a joke. I know it's not the same name, but they certainly sound very similar, especially to English speakers who can't really pronounce the sound within. But anyways, that was just a joke. But wow, another Geass user, right? Now, to be fair, I was expecting Geass users to appear in the future, right? And, you know, the reason for this is because certainly we saw some evidence of other Geass users within C2's flashbacks, right? And then also the fact that she is able to grant this power to Lelouch as well, that means it is transferable, right? So that wasn't the part that surprised me. The part that surprised me was the fact that there are different variants of Geass power, right? So what Mao is using is certainly different from what Lelouch is using. He actually has the power to read minds, right? And you know, just the fact that that was confirmed was also kind of an oh shit moment, right? Especially because of, you know, what the conversation that he had with Shirley directly prior to him meeting up with Lelouch there, because suddenly, you know, that validates everything that that Mao said about Shirley. Now, okay, granted, there's probably going to be some people out there who's going to be like, oh, hey, maybe he's just manipulating her and whatnot, right? Maybe Shirley doesn't really think that way, etc., etc. And sure, you can think that. That's looking at things from a more positive kind of lens, right? But, you know, for me, humans, you know, I do feel like humans are complicated creatures, and it's entirely plausible that Shirley could be using this opportunity to also further her own selfish goals as well, right? I mean, there's certainly, it's kind of a negative thing to say, but I feel like that's human nature. So that, you know, and the fact that Shirley feels so guilty about this situation further confirms the fact that, you know, this is definitely something that she is thinking of, and, you know, it's just a, how can I say it? It's just a position of convenience, right? Certainly she wouldn't really want for this to happen, for things to happen this way and all that, but since things have already happened, why not utilize it to its full advantage, right? So, you know, that was certainly quite eye-opening as well, you know, that entire part about Shirley and what she was going through these few days. And then, of course, there's this really particular thing that C2 said, right? The fact that, hey, because it's Mao and because Lelouch is Lelouch, he can't go up against Mao, right? So, obviously, I think there are various layers to this. The most direct one would be that, hey, Lelouch is a guy whose greatest asset is in his strategic thinking and whatnot, right? In his brain, right? And he likes to think through these various different situations, come up with a foolproof plan, you know, strategic, logical, all that kind of stuff. And yet, you know, against an enemy like Mao, who can completely read his thoughts, completely crack his strategies, completely render his plans useless, that is obviously the biggest counter, right? You know, that's very straightforward. I do feel like, however, there is probably some more levels to what C2 is saying here, and more in the sense of, you know, we do see Lelouch having his own morals, having his own values, and having, you know, a general sense of you know, lines that he doesn't want to cross, right? No, let's put it that way. Certainly some, I feel, are a little bit redundant, honestly, but still, you know, that's what Lelouch believes in regardless. And Mao certainly seems like a type of person who completely thrives in manipulating people and not giving any shits about morals or values or the ethical choices and so on and so forth, right? So perhaps there is a deeper sort of meaning to C2's words at that point there. And then, obviously, you know, how exactly can we defeat this sort of power, right? Because, you know, already knowing this and already knowing that there are different triggers, different limitations on the powers, you already need to start thinking, and Lelouch definitely needs to start thinking as well on how he can counter this, right? Because if he can, you know, fully lock on to Lelouch's mind and know what he's thinking at all times, well, there's nothing to do. It's GG. It's game over, right? But, you know, just from the dialogue from this episode, I do think we can infer a few things about Mao's abilities here, right? So, for one, I don't think he needs to have eye contact with a certain person or whatnot. And in fact, what I'm thinking right now, what I'm leaning towards is that his ability is probably range based. So like a certain radius stemming out from his body and whatnot, he is able to detect any thoughts, any living being's thoughts within, or probably any human's thoughts within that certain radius there. And the reason for this is because there's also a particular line he said that is, how can anybody sneak up to him without him noticing, right? So that means that he doesn't need to realize that there are other people there. He can simply detect them once it enters a certain range. He wasn't able to detect C2, that's why he was surprised, right? So just from that, I do think that's probably how his ability operates. Now, obviously, the next thing would be to figure out, like, how far away his ability actually extends to, right? Maybe, possibly, the best way to go up against him is to snipe him off from distance, right? Or something of that sort. And obviously, there's others as well, like how deeply can he actually probe into your mind and whatnot? Can you only think of can he only read what you're thinking right now? Can he dig deeper, or how far can that extend, right? But I'm sure Lelouch will try to find a way to figure these things out, or maybe C2 will tell him in the upcoming episodes. And then, of course, the big thing that happened in this episode, which is Shirley and Lelouch, and what Lelouch actually did here. I don't believe it. I seriously don't believe this is the method he chose. During that scene, I had two things going through my mind at that point, when it's revealed that Lelouch completely wiped Shirley's memories. Number one was, why did you go this far? But then, I know why you went this far, because of your conversation with C2 on the train here, right? C2 was saying, if you really love someone and you want to protect them, stay away from them, etc., etc. And Lelouch, he came to the conclusion that, okay, it's probably the best for Shirley if she has nothing to do with Lelouch anymore, right? This will protect them both, and just take her out of harm's way, right? So obviously it pained Lelouch to make this kind of decision and all that, but he does believe that this is for the best, for Shirley to completely forget about him, to not be involved with him anymore, and that's what's going to guarantee her safety. Now, with that said, though, after going through all that, the second thing that I instantly thought of was, how the hell is this going to work, right? Because, come on, this is not a case where these two are just, close acquaintances within a class or something, or maybe they knew of each other, only through the semester, or things like that, of that sort. They've known each other for a long, long time, and there are so many common acquaintances between them. Heck, they are both on the student council. How, in what world will that work where, Shirley completely forgets everything about Lelouch and somehow is still able to, go through the daily lives unscathed or unnoticed, right? Everybody is obviously going to notice something is wrong here, and if I don't know, are they trying to make it into a position where, so the only way I see this working is if Lelouch comes up with an excuse saying that, hey, Shirley maybe hit her head or something, and then completely forgot everything about Lelouch, but obviously that doesn't really work, because everyone, and not to mention everyone else, pretty much also knows that Shirley has feelings for Lelouch, right? It's pretty damn obvious here. So I don't think that's going to work. And the only other reasonable alternative here, or plausible alternative here, is that Lelouch has decided he's had enough with this school life crap, and he is going to focus his efforts full time into being Zero, being that of the Black Knights, and he's not going to deal with anything school related anymore, right? But is that actually a good decision to make, though? I don't know, man. I do feel like I don't know, I mean, at that point, there wasn't really much time for him to do anything or whatnot, but I do kind of feel like this was a hastily made decision that isn't really going to work out, or might bring him more trouble than is probably worth, or whatnot. So, I don't know, man. I'm really interested to see how exactly he's going to, he's going to fully, how can I say it? fully control the situation in the next episode, because right now it seems that he's losing control, right? There are so many holes on this ship that he's on right now, and he's, rushing here, rushing there, trying to fill in the holes and whatnot. Again, the Ogi and Valletta situation there, that is another time bomb waiting to explode. Oh, I mean, I do not envy Lelouch in this position at all. And so yeah, that's just so much stuff happening. We are about to get into a big shit show, I think. And also, so anyways, that's most of what I want to talk about for this episode, and also a little bit of, I guess this is sort of trivia, but I do feel like it might also be related with the, the entire showdown between Mao and Lelouch as well. So, I am a little bit of a chess player. I mean, I play chess, right? So during those chess playing scenes between Mao and Lelouch, I was actually really interested to see how they were doing and how it was like, right? The chess sets they're using are quite peculiar, so I wasn't really able to just see at a glance like all fully. But already I was thinking that those were some really, really weird positions that they were in. So I went back and watched it again, checked the positions and whatnot, and indeed, those are some really, really peculiar positions. And here's what I have to say. From the very first scene where we saw the board, Lelouch was already absolutely crushed. There was no way he was getting out of that unscathed, unless his opponent made some major, major blunders, right? So, if you don't play chess, this is probably going to be a little bit more vague or whatnot, but basically at that point, what was happening was, even though, okay, so, Lelouch, on Lelouch's side, he had the black pieces, right? He was very, very slightly, he had a material advantage. Basically, it was a piece for 2 pawns. So he was, a piece up, but he was 2 pawns down. But his king was completely exposed, right? And there was already a mounting attack by Mao's side. So basically, what it all boils down to is just looking at the position, Lelouch is already absolutely screwed there. And, at the later point when they showed them playing a little bit more, and then Lelouch was like, how can I lose this, right? But honestly, he already lost during that first scene when the chessboard was animated. Like, that was, to me, I feel like that's an insurmountable advantage. Now, here's the thing where it ties back into the actual episode, right? So we do know that, we assume that Lelouch is a pretty good chess player. I think that's been implied throughout the series and whatnot. And certainly, so we can take that as true, right? And in this episode, for the dialogue, Lelouch was like, how can he predict my every move and whatnot, right? And sure, you might be thinking, obviously he's going to lose because Mao can read Lelouch's mind, right? But the thing is, chess doesn't really work that way. Obviously, you have a major advantage and all, but still, even with that being said, you don't get into these kind of situations just because, if you play solid, right? If both sides play solid, the beginning, the opening, we call it the opening, which is like the first third of a chess match, should still be mostly on equal footing. To be able to actually get out of the opening and into Lelouch's position right there, already something really bad had to have happened. You had to have messed up really badly in order to get yourself into that position. But perhaps even more damning is the move that he made directly after we were initially shown the board. So basically, Mao's white pawn was advancing very forward. He was about to get back his material, so that's why, overall, once it all comes out, they're going to be equal in material, but Lelouch has a very exposed king that is ready to be attacked. But the thing is, at that point, Lelouch actually made a move that put him in even worse. Like, that was a rookie move. Okay, that's all I can say about it. The move where Lelouch took the knight and took the pawn of Mao, that was actually a super rookie move that, if any strong player would not have done. All right. So what does this mean, right? What does this mean? basically what this means is that even though, to me anyways, the way that I interpret the situation is that even though Lelouch seems to be, having a handle on the situation, he's still thinking rationally, he's still going through all the motions, right? Even though this is kind of like a crucial situation or whatnot, Lelouch was surprised, it seems that he's still calm, he's still trying to think things through. I do believe that at that point he was already very, very shook and he was not able to think straight. Now, obviously, you could also argue that, hey, maybe he's just thinking of things and so he's not really paying attention to the chessboard and whatnot. And sure, I mean, that's also entirely plausible and whatnot. But what I'm saying is that he's definitely not able to think straight anymore at that point. So that was because, he was really caught by surprise, and then, also the stress of Shirley being in danger and whatnot. Certainly, like, maybe he should be at 100% capacity and he would be able to do both things at the same time, but at that point, maybe he was only in 60-70% capacity, and so, he was, on one hand, he's not being able to take care of the chess pieces on the board. On the other hand, it might have affected, what he was actually theorizing as well, and his planning, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the way I choose to interpret that situation. If, of course, we say that, we acknowledge that Lelouch was actually a very strong chess player. Because that move right there, like I said, that was not even an amateur move. That was a beginner's move. All right, so yeah, definitely not fitting of Lelouch, the chess master. So, anyways, okay. I think I kind of went on a tangent there because I do like to focus a little bit on these interesting things. I didn't even talk about C2's outfit, right? Can somebody please explain to me what C2's outfit is all about? But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I certainly enjoyed it. This is getting really, really fun. I love this development here, and I can't wait to see you guys next time as well. Stay tuned. Bye bye.